That was so good.
It was
Why'd you
so
stop?
good. I don't know. It's because I forgot what I was going to say. Hey guys, it's Caroline. Welcome to the channel. I just finished up the Open at Austin. I finished 12th, which is great. It was wonderful learning opportunities always. That's what this year's about. We're gonna react to my round 2 of the Open at Austin. We're gonna dig right into it. All right, this is hole 1. I'm going to be throwing a super stable Ezra nuke. It's a left-right wind. Pretty much every day was a left-right wind. We had watched a bunch of the girls' discs push right into that tree, so I told myself we gotta play this wide. I wanted to keep it either flat or hyzer, just because if the angle gets turned too much on Annie, it's gonna hold too straight and it might push into that tree and drop into OB. I thought I threw this a little inside, but it was wonderful. It was well executed. I'm not complaining. It landed in a great spot. Green flag for days. We're all walking up. All right, so this is my felon. It's nice and overstable. Out of the hand, I thought this was inside. I was like, this is tracking OB, but it actually hit behind and rolled back in. If I could do it again, I would have played it a little bit wider. I didn't mind the angle or the height. That's what I preferred. I'm clumsy, but I'm not. All right, hole 2. This is my stable D2. We had the left-right wind again. It was left-right tail. I wanted to make sure I put it out wide because in the previous round, I didn't play it wide. Or no, in the previous round, I played it a little too wide and it pushed OB, but it was the same disc. We're gonna put it on hyzer. It's gonna flip to flat. You can't see too much of the shot. Out of the hand, I was like, that might be OB. We just watched, I think it might have been Holland go OB, so I was terrified, but it skipped great. Wonderful position. This is gonna be my pink nuke. It's my most beaten in nuke. The wind again is blowing left, right, so I know I need to put it on hyzer and swing it out wide. That way it'll just stable out to the basket, in which it did. It was a great shot. This hole was played pretty well. There's a little bit pinched behind the tree on the putt, which is okay. Did I miss it? It's okay, at least at the basket. So far, that's like the goal for the first few tournaments, is like getting that putt. I don't want to be missing the basket entirely. I don't mind hitting chains. This is my stable nuke. We had a right-left. I wanted this a little bit higher. I don't mind the width. I just wanted it a little bit higher because if I can get it pushing past the tree, it'll swing right to the basket. But when it hyzers out before the tree, you end up short and left. And so it's going to give you a C2 bid, which isn't a problem because you're bidding uphill. We missed the upshot, which is fine. Just kind of popped it up to bullseye, made the putt, and round 1, I missed it. And so I took a 4. It was kind of sad. All right, this is hole 4. I'm throwing my nuke again. I loved this shot. Out of the hand, I was like, this is the best shot I've had. I wanted the hyzer, a little bit of flip and that push. But on that hillside, it's hard to see from that angle, but it like dips down and in, and so the disc filtered down and in. So I was a tad pinched, and you'll probably see it on the next upshot. Yeah, you can see I'm a little pinched. We're gonna use the nuke again. We're supposed to hang it out wide, Caroline, but we end up leaving it a little bit inside. I clipped the trees. I'm confused because I was like, why did I leave it so inside? Didn't mind the angle, didn't mind the height. Can't tell what frisbee this is. Oh, this is my A3. No, yeah, this is my A3. I left it a little high, thank goodness for trees, because that was going too straight, too far, and I'd have been pinched again. It actually left me in a wonderful position. I did want it lower. This is my PA3 soft plastic. Nice little pitch up. I like to continue that rotational move on my little pitch ups just because I feel like it helps me push through the energy and it doesn't feel so choppy. It just feels so natural kind of finishing through that move. Paul McBeth does it a lot. I'd recommend practicing it in a field before you just do it in a tournament. Here we puttin'. The putt for the most part felt really good over the weekend, which was nice because I've been working on it a lot. The 20 and ins and about 25 start to feel really comfortable. This is my nuke. So much angle, so low. It wasn't a great shot. I wanted to throw it flat at the bushy tree just to the left of the basket. I wanted to throw it flat and have a nice turn over that flat green, and then it would fade right into the basket. Fortunately, didn't quite do that, but this disc rolled a mile. As you can tell, it's in a completely random location. PA one up shot. Couldn't see it over the hill. It turned out to be a great shot. It was wonderful. Nice little soft anti-bid. Saving 3. Waving at everybody because everyone was so cool out there. This hole, it's like a 90-degree angle to the left. Like most FPO players weren't gonna get there, so I'm just gonna throw my blue nuke high and hyzer and try to land up on top of that nice flat green. We didn't quite have the right wind for this to like really swing the disc. It was kind of left right. So this kind of left me with an upshot. This upshot I wasn't super happy with because I liked the anti-angle. I just wanted to throw it more down, but I kind of like threw it like up and around. And so I left it a little short, but thank goodness my putting feels great over the weekend. And so I ended up making the putt. Couldn't believe it. I was like, yes, saving 3s. Okay, this one. So this is my stable Ezra nuke. I felt a headwind on this hole, which is why I chose this disc. I put it on a tad too much angle, and so it carried a little bit too long left before it dropped. I was missing a lot of my forehand angles on this round. This actually hit and rolled back a few feet. I hit in circle 1, pulled the putt a little bit. C2s don't feel super comfortable right now, which is okay because I'm still learning. Nice little tap in after I go through my routine. For some people, routines are super important, so if you're one of those, stick to it. Don't feel self-conscious about doing it. Whatever makes you feel comfortable. You got 30 seconds. Sad Caroline face. It's just like, why did I throw that so wide? Why did I miss my putt? This is my titanium nuke, which is a tad more stable than my blue nuke that I was throwing in earlier holes. Unfortunately, like I said, I was putting too much anti-angle on my forehands. I like to throw my forehands low. So I don't mind it if I don't throw it on in. If I can throw it flat baby hyzer, they'll have such a fantastic turn and then they'll fade right to the basket. Because I was so short, I used my harpoon, my blue harpoon, as an up. I chose the forehand because the right hand side was because we had a right left wind. That was the biggest decision. This is my instinct. I threw it a tad low, which is okay. Got a tough tree kick. Nice little C2 bid. Fun fact, I watched everybody miss their C2s. So I was like the last person to go up. So I was like, there's no chance I'm making this. If Holland missed it, Rebecca missed it, etc. We had that right left wind and I drained it. I couldn't believe it. I haven't made a C2 in a tournament in a while. And so I was super stoked. I couldn't believe it. And then there was this little tree and I almost fell. I'm athletic, I swear. This is my Ezra nuke, my most stable nuke. I like playing this high, flat, and wide and it'll just crash into the basket. I like stability, like super stable discs for forehand because they're really predictable for me. Like I always know they're gonna go right, especially if I put it on a specific angle that I'm comfortable with, which is usually flat. All right, same nuke. I was actually shocked that this ended up so short because out of the hand, I was like, that's a great angle. And suddenly it just dove out. It must have been some kind of tailwind or something that pushed it down. So it was super weird. And on that jump, I was super confident. I was like, I just made it. I know what it feels like. My back foot slipped, and so I lost some power, which is cool. Because I still saved the 3. Alright, we have a right-left wind. I'm throwing that titanium nuke. So again, I'm putting too much angle on my frisbees again, and so the wind just took it. And it ended up going OB long. I never thought I'd find myself there, especially on that side. And so on the upshot, I decided to grab my stable D2, and I was going to throw it on hyzer, have a little bit of flip, and then just kind of turn. It was that kind of wind. And so I didn't want to grab a nuke and it suddenly stable out. Now I'm in a different kind of OB. Turns out, it was a fantastic D2 flight, just not for this hole. Like, pushed way too straight, way too long. So I would have thrown my pink nuke instead, kind of looking back at it. It did end up OB. This was an inside the circle putt, and I just missed it by like a hair. I was so devastated. I think I ended up taking like a double bogey on that hole because of it. Back to the titanium nuke. Since I had overturned every forehand shot since then, I put this on way too much hyzer. So it was an overcorrection. It was a little silly. I should have just stayed confident and thought flat. So just give it a little bid, not do anything too crazy. Don't want to roll down the hill. This little putt. All right, this is my Discraft Vulture. Not gonna lie, I was a little heated at this point. Like, my mental game was kind of crashing after that double bogey. I left this way too inside, and unfortunately, once that disc rolled down the hill, that was OB. So I wasn't mad with the disc choice. I just needed to like chill my mind and just put it back out wide. We had a left-right wind. It's not a bad bid, it's just a far bid, especially being uphill, then a raised basket. It's just a lot of power to get the disc that high. This is my Ezra nuke. Missed my forehand angle. Instead of getting over on it like I should have, I left it on hyzer, kind of like the titanium nuke on a couple holes before. Left me super short, but it was a ripping headwind on this hole. So I was a little gun shy on putting it anywhere close to flags. I didn't want to turn it because there's still OB over there. To the right side, there wasn't so much. You just had that OB green in the middle. So I upshot to this position. I believe it was a forehand upshot with an A3 or harpoon. I think it was harpoon. And then I made the putt. The putt was feeling so good. I'm so excited. Put so much work into it. It's nice to see it coming together in a tournament. Name of the game was stay confident. This is back to my Ezra nuke. I missed the forehand angle a little bit. It was a little high, so it turned out to be a little short. But again, it was that headwind. You know, I didn't want to go OB. Everything to the left of that hole was OB, and so it's just better to be short and right than anything. This is we're back to the felon, kind of what we saw on hole 1. I like this shot. I didn't mind the angle. I like the flat. I thought it was a little low, so it kind of took a weird counter skip, but it didn't really matter because I drew the putt. This hole's a beast. The goal is to kind of push through the first gap and then kind of go straight and then really tail into the right gap. I was a little short. It's not a super big problem being there because you still have an up from that position, but it's hard to get to the mouth, and you can see that tiny little gap. Like, you want to be there in 2. So here, because I'm so far back, I had a nice little forehand. This is my most beaten in harpoon. It's my oldest harpoon, and so if I put it close to flat, it'll have a nice turn. And this shot was an inch from perfection. I was so happy when it came out of my hand, couldn't believe it. I just needed a little bit more left, and I had it. So this hole's a par 4, by the way, so sadly pitching up for 4. And then putting for 5. To be fair, on like that, I'm pretty sure that hole played bogey or worse. Like, there wasn't very many people who parred it or even eagled it or birdied it. Definitely played over par, or well over bogey. I got someone on my card who had like a 7 and an 8. or on hole 18. We had that left-right heady wind. I loved the angle out of this hand. I just knew it wasn't gonna get the distance because of the wind. The disc is super reliable when you throw it on that angle. This shot. So this is my titanium nuke. I knew in practice that it had to be a less stable disc because you're throwing it uphill and you also have that right-left wind. And so I should have thrown my most beaten in pink nuke. That way it would have flipped a little longer over the cart path instead of somehow getting like shoved down into the OB. I did want it a little bit lower too. But it's hard when you have an uphill elevation and then you have those trees. It's such a small zone. Nice little pitch up. There's a right-left wind, so I made sure to play it a tad bit wide so it would push a little bit. Waving at all the peeps. And a little nice tap in. So I ended up finishing with a bogey. So that's wrapping up my round 2 at the Open at Austin. I was super happy with the round. I feel like I did a lot of great things and some things that can be cleaned up. You know, it's just a little bit off, nothing super crazy. If you have any questions, you know, drop them in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I really appreciate